What up, paintball world? Welcome to another episode of Next Point Podcast, where each episode we dive deep into some aspect of competitive tournament paintball. Today I want to discuss something a little different. I think this might be my favorite topic I've tried to cover on this podcast so far, because it's a topic that I think gets overlooked. And that topic is belief. Belief is the start of everything, in my opinion. Every achievement starts in the same place. Belief. Before a championship is won, before a company is built, before a world record is broken, someone has to believe it can be done. If no one believes in a thing, no one will ever put the work in that's required to make that thing happen. History's full of examples where one person accomplished what everyone else thought was impossible. The moment they did, the impossible became a new standard. Others followed because they no longer had to imagine it. They had proof. They had the evidence. I think that's the lesson for the day. What one person can do, another person can learn to do. And belief isn't some magical thing. Belief isn't pretending you'll succeed. It's a decision. It's deciding that your goal is possible enough to deserve your effort, to deserve your obsession. It's the funny thing about confidence, too. Confidence doesn't come first. It's a big misconception. Action comes first. But belief is what gives you the courage to take that first step, and to take the next step after that. In paintball, you'll never make the move you don't believe you can make. You'll never attack the bunker you think you're too slow to reach. You'll never beat the team you've already convinced yourself is better. Your beliefs set the ceilings for your actions, and your actions determine your results. The first opponent and the last opponent you'll ever face, it's not the team across the field, it's not the player on the other side. It's the voice in your own head, deciding what's possible. You are the first and last opponent. You decide your own limitations. One of my favorite examples of this is the 4-minute mile. In 1954, everybody was sure that a 4-minute mile under 4 minutes just wasn't possible. It was a physical limitation of the human body. A lot of people put a lot of effort into trying to break that barrier. And up until 1954, just simply hadn't happened yet. Some of the best coaches, some of the best runners in the world were convinced that that was just a barrier. There was no getting around it. Then on May 6, 1954, Roger Bannister became the first person to run that mile under 4 minutes. He finished it in 3:59.4. At that time, everybody in the world, everybody who knew anything about running, was sure that wasn't possible. Couldn't happen. But it did. And 46 days later, John Landry broke that record. and ran the mile in 3 minutes and 58 seconds flat. Within a few years, many, many more runners broke that barrier. And today, thousands of athletes run under a sub 4 minute mile. So what changed? Okay, maybe Roger Bannister was the special one. Maybe he was destined to break that barrier. Always was. But how, in 46 days later, did somebody else break it? And how, within a few years, did many, many more runners break that barrier? Did the physical body change in less than a couple years? Did human evolution spike in less than 800 days? I think not. I think what changed was the belief. What was once considered impossible was no longer impossible. And the minds of athletes changed in 1954. And a new standard broke out. Running the mile would never be the same again. And this is just one of my favorite of many examples of how athletes, how people live under their own barriers. And that's the big question, right? How to break through that barrier. We all have our own things stopping us from accomplishing what we want. But what stops us, really? It's our belief. Do we believe what we want is possible? Do we believe it can be achieved? And this is the key to remember. Nothing you want to accomplish hasn't been done. Whether it's a weight loss goal, whether it's an athletic goal, whether it's a personal goal, a professional goal, point to something in the world that hasn't been done. In one way or another, everything has been done. There is no barrier in your life that is so insurmountable that it can't be conquered. There's always a way around, or through, or over. Our only limiting factor is our belief. What one has done, many can do. And let's go back to our game. First tournament of the year, I was so encouraged. I was so inspired by what I saw from Thomas Hara of Red Legion. Rookie, first year in the pro division, first event. You're a rookie, you're playing your first event. You're not there to be a star. You're there to be a sponge, as they say. Just like they said that the 4 minute mile couldn't be broken. Your job as a rookie is to sit the bench, watch, learn, and be ready. Somebody might need a break, right? Wrong. I watched a rookie in his first event be an absolute animal on the field. I watched him put a performance together that some of the greatest players in the world have never been able to put together. Throughout the history of the NXL, there's been maybe 35, 40, definitely less than 50 MVPs. It's only 5 events a year. And a lot of those MVPs of the event have gone to the same players. There is a very small elite list of players who can say that they've accomplished being an event MVP at the pro level. But after that Tampa event, history changed. For the first time, a rookie in his first event not only won and was Tampa Bay Open champion pro division, but was the team's MVP on one of the most elite teams in the league. What is it again that you can't do? What is it again that you can't accomplish? What one person can do, many can do. And like that 4-minute mile, who says that can't be the standard again? I think we're moving into a new era of the game. For a long time, the best players have had so much experience, so much knowledge, so much IQ, that the idea of a rookie being an MVP would have been a joke. I'm sure there's a lot of pros that would have laughed at that idea until it happened. We're moving into that new era. This happens in every sport. Phenoms coming out from nowhere. One day it's Ronaldinho, the next day it's Ronaldo, the next day it's some 17-year-old kid from Argentina named Messi. And they're destined to be the one. Our game's been lagging behind a little bit. I think it's a little different. This is such a cerebral game. Experience and IQ make such a difference. But I think we are getting to that point where we will see barriers be broken. We will see new accomplishments be had. And the number one part of that process is the belief, the faith. And it's not empty faith. The Bible has a verse that faith without works is dead. Works without faith is dead. That's one of my favorite verses from the Bible, because it shows that there is a relationship with the two. The man who has faith does. And he does because he believes. And the man that does so because he has faith. Because he believes it can be accomplished. No one gets up and does work for something that they think is not possible. It starts with belief. It starts with the way you view yourself. It starts with your self-talk. How do you talk to yourself? Do you limit yourself? Do you judge yourself based on your potential? Or do you judge yourself based on your failures? Everyone has a nice grouping of both, right? It's about what we anchor that belief and faith in. What one person calls irrational, another person calls just a great task worthy of their effort. And that's where we get into some of the tactics. How do we harness this faith, this belief? How do we build it and grow it? It's like a plant. It requires a little sun, requires a little water. Sometimes it requires a little protection. It's got to be cherished. It's got to be treated like it is the most important thing. That unshakable confidence, that knowledge that you know you can accomplish anything you put your mind to. And how do we do it? What are the things we can put into place? What are the practices we can use to develop this faith, this belief, this unshakable confidence? In 2025, a meta-analysis reviewed 86 different studies of approximately 4,000 athletes and found that visualization produces meaningful improvement in sports performance, including agility, strength, sport-specific skills. The greatest benefits occurred when imagery was combined with physical practice, not used alone. Again, faith without works, right? And there's ways to do it. There's optimal doses. There's parameters to get the results you desire. So how do we use this visualization in our game? Well, first, it's important to recognize that the brain treats vivid imagery similar to actual movement. They've done lots of studies with brain imaging and showed that visualization activates the same portions of the brain as performing. Motor planning, attention networks. It's very similar. It's a practice. We can imagine in our mind how we want to perform, what we want to see happen. A good practice is definitely 10 minutes per session, 3 sessions per week. And the studies show it takes about 3 to 4 months of consistent practice to really see the results produce. And doesn't that make sense? Goes back to that watering the plant, little bit of sun. Nothing happens overnight. It's a little bit of work at a time. It's a great quote by Confucius. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. I love that quote. Because the mountain can seem insurmountable. And the man who's sitting there staring at the mountain, thinking about the work, thinking about what's needed to move it, they're not going to get started. And if they do, they'll quickly find themselves unmotivated and stop. But the person who is committed, who is constantly making their actions and efforts more and more efficient, they start with the small stone. And they create processes to move bigger stones. And they get better and better at moving the earth. And before you know it, where one mountain stood, it now is somewhere else. And that's the way we got to look at this thing. We have to move small stones at a time. And visualization is one of those great tactics to do that. Put yourself in the first person perspective. Put yourself in your own imagination. The imagination is the playground for reality. Before the home gets built, before the blueprint gets drawn out by the engineer, before the invention comes into production, somebody played with that idea in their imagination, in their mind. That's where everything is possible. That's where we do the first work. And visualization is a great tactic. Imagining how you want to play. Imagining defeating an opponent that might have gotten the better of you in the past. Imagining how you want to attack the field. What you look like. How your opponents feel about you. And really feel it. That's the key. Add the feeling. What does that gun feel like in your hand? What's that emotion feel like when you connect that great shot on an opponent? When you work your way down the field? When you find that seam? And you break the game open for your team? How's it feel to walk back in that pit, knowing you were a difference maker? Can you feel that gold medal on your chest at the end of the tournament? Can you taste the victory steak? Can you see yourself having great conversations with your teammates afterwards? Drinking a beer? Enjoying what you've accomplished together? That's where it starts. Generate the feeling. Put yourself in the moment. And then, after that, simply work. Focus on the process. It's a two-part. First, we have to imagine the results we want, and then we have to focus on the system that's going to produce it. And visualization is one of our best tools in our toolbox. Another way I like to use visualization, another way I like to increase that confidence, find that unshakable confidence, is error correction. Every athlete, every performer, no matter how great they are, makes errors. Errors are a part of life. Mistakes. Things we wish we had done differently. And this is where visualization can really, really pay off. Because in our mind, in our imagination, we can do things differently. Put yourself in that same position where that error came. Remember what you were thinking. Remember why it didn't work out. And correct it. In your mindscape. In your imagination. What was the correct way to do it? Play with it. Go through different options. What was available to me? Where were my opponents? What other thing could I have done? Paying attention. This is why we have to remember the details of everything we do. Victories and defeats. Go back to that situation. Maybe we connect with our teammate. Maybe we find an alternate route. Maybe we get sneaky. Maybe we focus on our shot a little more. Whatever it is, it's always changing. But the goal is still the same. Correct the error in your mind. Because in the end, your body doesn't know the difference. This is a way we can build reps, build confidence. There is no situation out there that you can't overcome because you've done it in your mind before. Next time you see the seam, next time you see the alternate option, next time you turn and connect with your teammate. Visualization and imagination is where we get to correct the errors and replace them with the right way to do it. The correct way. The best way. And next time you're in that scenario, next time you're in that situation, we're not thinking about what we did wrong last time. We've used that as fuel to improve our game. We've used that as an opportunity to learn. And now when that moment comes, our mind snaps. We do the right thing. And this is something we can program. There's a lot of, some might say it's a little woo-woo, getting a little in the clouds. But we can program our mind. There's a lot of good tactics that have been discussed in books by metaphysicians, by people who are more in the sciences and have just really studied the possibilities of visualization. And there's ways we can program the mind. Things we can do to remind ourselves that we are capable, that I know what to do. There used to be a tactic I had read about once about the 3-finger technique. That we program our mind that whenever I touch my first 3 fingers together, I will know what to do. the right idea will come to me. The right tactic will show itself to me. And again, that starts with the belief. It starts with the confidence. There's nothing out there that you can't know. Any idea somebody else has had, you can have too. Ideas are floating around in space. We don't know where they are. Aristotle talked about the realm of the forms, somewhere above reality where everything's possible. The greatest guitar solo, the greatest athletic performance, the most efficient system you could ever think of. It's up there somewhere, waiting for somebody to connect with it. The greatest symphony is up there somewhere, waiting for somebody to have the ear for it. And that's what we're trying to develop. That ear, that connection, that ability to find the right way. It's available to us. It's available to everybody. But the first step is believing. In this world of negativity, constant problems, solutions don't get as celebrated as they used to. Sometimes it's more gratifying talking about the problems, talking about the issues. Look how angry everyone is all the time. How offended. Meanwhile, the answers are right around us at all times. Whatever we're looking to accomplish, it starts with belief. It starts with confidence. And it doesn't mean we're not going to fail. Of course we're going to fail. But if we use tactics to turn failures into greater knowledge, into more efficient systems, into greater motivation, then where's the failure? Point it to me. Because I don't see it. I see opportunities. Opportunities to learn, grow, and improve. But first comes the self-talk. The first and last opponent has always been you. So thank you for joining me on another episode of Next Point Podcast. I hope this podcast was a little bit helpful. Maybe it can spark some excitement. Give you some tactics as far as visualization, error correction, and programming to build our minds, to make us better players, better athletes, better people. And to just remember, there is no shortcuts. Because work without faith is dead. And faith without work is dead too. So until the next time, on to the next point.